Big news out of Cincinnati today. Head coach Zac Taylor has confirmed that Cam Taylor-Britt was officially benched. He played just 5 snaps in the last game, and his performance was graded as one of the lowest on the roster. And here's the shocking part, this isn't the first time. He was benched earlier this season by Al Golden, and last year it happened under Lou Anarumo. For a player who once showed so much promise, this fall-off is hard to ignore. Before we dig deeper into what this means for the Bengals defense, make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit that like button, and don't forget to ring the bell icon so you're always locked in on the latest Bengals news. Now, back to Cam Taylor-Britt. Many fans assumed his limited snaps were injury-related, but Zac Taylor confirmed that's not the case. No injury. Just performance. And that raises serious questions. If your secondary is already struggling, what do you do next? Free agency becomes the obvious conversation. Do the Bengals look to bring in another corner? Do they try to trade, even though moving Taylor-Britt in his contract year would be tough? Or do they ride it out and hope he can bounce back? That's the dilemma Cincinnati faces right now, and with the secondary being one of the team's weakest spots, the pressure is mounting. So let's talk about the cornerback market, because if the Bengals decide to make a move, here's what they're looking at. The free agent pool right now has some recognizable names: James Bradberry, Kendall Fuller, Stephon Gilmore, and Michael Davis. On paper, that sounds like experience and depth, but the reality is more complicated. Bradberry has the resume, but at his age, does he bring enough speed to keep up with younger receivers? Kendall Fuller is steady, but consistency has been his biggest question mark. Stephon Gilmore, a former Defensive Player of the Year, still brings leadership, but he's not the same shutdown guy he once was. Michael Davis? Solid, but not exactly a game-changer. And then there's the wild card, Asante Samuel Jr. It's honestly surprising he's still available. Yes, injuries have slowed him down, but his raw talent is undeniable. A healthy Samuel could instantly strengthen a struggling secondary, yet somehow, no team has pulled the trigger. As for Cam Sutton, that's a non-starter. After his off-field issues in Detroit, teams have been quick to steer clear. The Bengals, who value locker room culture, won't be taking that risk. So where does that leave Cincinnati? Free agency isn't offering a clear fix. Trading for a younger, more reliable corner is always an option, but that comes at a steep price: draft picks or cap flexibility. The other route is trusting the roster they already have and hoping someone steps up while Cam Taylor-Britt figures things out. But here's the reality: the AFC is loaded with elite quarterbacks and receivers. Standing still might not be an option. If the Bengals want to keep pace in the playoff race, they'll need to address this secondary, either with a bold move or a gamble on one of these veterans. Now let's shift to the trade market, because that might actually be the Bengals' best path forward. When teams start to collapse midway through the season, they often look to move players who are in the final year of their contracts, especially if they don't plan to re-sign them. Why let a guy walk for nothing when you can pick up some draft capital? Take the Tennessee Titans, for example. Their season is slipping, and cornerback Roger McCreary could be a name to watch. He's young, talented, and if the Titans decide to start over, he could be available. That's exactly the type of move Cincinnati should keep on the radar. Now, don't expect any favors from the Cleveland Browns. Guys like Greg Newsome too are talented, but let's be real, division rivals aren't lining up to help the Bengals improve their secondary. How about the Las Vegas Raiders? Someone like Eric Stokes could hit the trade block if they decide to shake things up. Moves like that aren't always headline-grabbing, but they can patch a hole and give Cincinnati more stability down the stretch. Here's the bigger point: the Bengals have options, but none of them are perfect. Do they chase experience in free agency? Do they gamble on a trade that costs them future draft picks? Or do they roll with their current group and hope Cam Taylor-Britt rebounds? Fans are frustrated, and for good reason. The defense has been hit with blow after blow, and the secondary remains a glaring weakness. Zac Taylor likes to talk about handling adversity. But the truth is, adversity doesn't just disappear. It demands solutions. And right now, the Bengals have to decide whether they'll play it safe or take a risk to keep their playoff hopes alive. Here's the other challenge with trades: timing. We're still so early in the season that most teams aren't ready to wave the white flag yet. Unless you're sitting at 0-4 like the Titans or the Giants, there's still that belief in every locker room that, hey, we've got a chance. And as long as teams believe they're alive, they're not moving core players. That's the tricky dynamic the Bengals are up against. Even if Cincinnati wants to make a deal, they might not find willing partners this soon. General managers, head coaches, even ownership, they all think they can turn things around, especially in a league where 1 or 2 wins can flip the entire narrative. Now, don't get me wrong. Being 0-4 doesn't officially end your season, but it sets a trajectory. Teams like Tennessee may already be staring down reality. Others, though, will keep holding on, hoping to squeeze out just enough wins to stay in the mix. And that delay creates a problem for Cincinnati. The Bengals don't have the luxury of waiting until mid-season if their secondary keeps giving up big plays. Every week matters in the AFC, especially when you're battling against quarterbacks like Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, and Lamar Jackson. So the Bengals are stuck in this waiting game. Do they push hard now and overpay for a quick fix? Or do they wait for the market to open up as more teams fade from playoff contention? Either way, the longer this drags out, the more pressure lands on Zac Taylor and Lou Anarumo to squeeze production out of the pieces they already have. At the end of the day, the Bengals might not see real movement until we get closer to the trade deadline. That's when struggling teams finally accept reality and start shipping off players for draft picks. But here's where it gets interesting. What if Cincinnati is the one struggling by then? Think about it. If the Bengals drop a couple more games and slide to 2-4, the conversation shifts completely. Instead of asking, who can we bring in to fix the secondary? The front office may have to ask, who do we move to build for the future? Would Trey Hendrickson suddenly become a trade chip? Would veterans on expiring deals be shopped for picks? These aren't fun questions, but they're real ones if the season starts spiraling. The Bengals could find themselves not as buyers, but as sellers. That's the razor's edge this team is walking right now. Win the next few games, and Cincinnati stays in the thick of the AFC race, maybe even bold enough to make an aggressive move at cornerback. Lose, and the conversation shifts to draft capital, long-term planning, and hard decisions about core players. For Bengals fans, it's frustrating, it's nerve-wracking, but it's also reality. The next stretch of games isn't just about the win-loss column. It could define whether this team pushes for a playoff run or starts reloading for next year. And that's the crossroads the Bengals face. Every game from here on out matters, not just for the season, but for the future of the roster.